Okay, so I decided to do Romeo and Juliet set in the city of London, and I decided to do it as a Muslim woman and an English man, and I want it set in the tube stations. I decided this because obviously what happened in London with the bomb scares, and people who walk around London, some people necessarily think that there could be another bomb threat by just seeing someone dressed in that way, which isn't necessarily true. This is the part of the research that I found, and I thought it was important to show. It's about a Muslim family getting abused verbally on a train. Actually, it's this. Oh no, where's it gone now?
She wears it for herself, okay? She wears it because she wants to be modest with her body, not because of people like you who are going to sit there and disrespect her. That's not her doing it. That is a minority of people, not a majority of people, okay? It doesn't matter what they're doing. Don't sit there disrespecting someone that's got nothing to do with it, okay? Have some respect. Have some respect. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What's that got to do with this poor lady? What's it got to do with her?
Nothing.
Exactly. No, you're the one that's sitting there saying things under your breath. Shut your mouth. Simple. You shut your mouth. You've got nothing nice to say, don't say anything. Simple.
Obviously that wasn't set in London, but I've seen things like that happen before when I've actually been on the tube. So, and then my target audience, I wanted it to be young teenagers, because they're still influential at that age. And when I was like 15, I was going to London by myself, and I still do now. And back then, I was scared of people dressed like that. But I wanted it to show them that it's acceptable for mixed cultural couples to be seen out in society. I want to show how being a different religion or culture doesn't make a difference when it comes to love as well. Setting, London Underground, again because it's a sort of a middle ground for them to interact in, because you see all types of different people on the tube, like cultural, religious backgrounds, people from different countries and stuff. Characters, I want to keep the characters exactly the same, only changing the backgrounds, keep the names exactly the same as well. Only differences is for Romeo to be an English banker and for Juliet to be a Muslim woman. Language, original Shakespeare. It's worked for hundreds of years and people can relate to it, so I don't understand why it should be changed. Also, I want teenagers to get to grips with it, with the way it's written, so they find it easier to understand it further along in their education. I then took an example of the text and split it up in how I would want it performed. So this top section is when Romeo vows his love for Juliet. So I want to use the beginning part as if they've just met on the platform of a train station and she's just spotted that he is getting on the same train as him. They whisper this to one another, however, they are using eye contact to muster the changes of mood in one another. She says her speech as if she is really shocked and surprised and wants to hide that they know one another, when Romeo is saying it like he wants to be closer to her on the platform. And then the second part down here, they sit down opposite each other in an empty carriage, only them in the carriage. He grabs her hand but she pulls away. She moves further up the carriage, however he follows her, showing the urge he has for her love, but she doesn't want him to get hurt. I want more of the actions to speak more than the words of Shakespeare, only to help young teenagers understand what Shakespeare was trying to put across. And then costume, I want Juliet to be in a typical Muslim clothing, so hiding all body parts, etc. And for Romeo to be in a typical banker's suit, again just trying to show the differences between them. And I drew what I wanted them to be in and explained why. And then I want it to be set in an underground, which is like this, typical London tube. And I just want simple props like suitcases, briefcases, newspapers, just so that they can show and understand that it is in the London Underground. So keep stuff quite, not English based, but stuff which you would typically see on the tube. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, how does it work with? I mean, obviously there's lots of scenes between those two, but what about the scenes where there's more going on, like she's obviously what about the party, for example? How are you going to show that if it's on the tube?
I would obviously change the settings of different places. So the party would be, say if I set it in Liverpool Street, it would be set in like the massive square bit which you have with all the trains coming off, and it would just be a group gathering. It wouldn't be any type of party. It'd just be as if they were meeting as friends. Same with like the fights between the Capulets and Montagues. They would all happen on the tube and stuff like that, because I don't want to change the setting from the tube station, because obviously all the bomb threats and the scares and stuff. Yeah, because that's where I got the idea from.
Okay. Why Romeo and Juliet?
What do you mean, why Romeo and Juliet?
Well, why Romeo and Juliet is, what I mean by it is, you could have just written a play that was a new play.
Because it already has issues which are still going on today, like it hasn't changed. Just because the Capulets and the Montagues were fighting, they're still happening with English people and Muslim people in their own country.
Okay. And what? But so it didn't work.
What do you mean?
So the play hasn't worked.
What, the original play?
Yeah.
Well, it's not that it didn't work. It's just that it wasn't. It's not totally relevant to what I wanted to achieve and what is happening today.
Right. So there you go. Why use this
Well,
play?
no, because there's loads of different types of issues in Romeo and Juliet. Like most people just see it as a love story. When I didn't, I saw it as these are two groups of people who didn't get on for so many reasons. And I just wanted to more show that than the love side. Like to me, having them fall in love wasn't the main part of it. It was showing the cultural differences and how people view Muslim people and how English people view them, and vice versa.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.